Welcome to McBride. McBride is the leading supplier of private label, household, cleaning and personal care products for Europe's largest retailers. At Middleton site, we make fabric conditioner, washing up liquid, bleach and household cleaners. As there are significant hazards on this site that could cause you harm or ill health, it is most important that you follow our safe procedures. Please watch and listen carefully to this video to ensure your safety and that of others who may be affected by what you do. There will be a short questionnaire at the end of the video that you must answer correctly before being allowed to work on this site. The 11-acre site is occupied by one main building and includes offices, bulk chemical storage, production areas, waste storage and disposal, warehousing, car parking to the front and rear. The site produces approximately 5 million bottles of product per week. Operations carried out on the site include blending or mixing chemicals with water. Chemicals used in this area may be harmful, corrosive or flammable. Safety glasses must be worn and mobile phones turned off. Blow moulding bottles for product packing. There are hazards from machinery, vehicle and noise in this area. Marked pedestrian routes must be used and hearing protection must be worn at all times. Filling bottles. There are hazards from machinery, vehicles and chemicals in this area. Marked pedestrian routes must be used. Warehousing. There are hazards from vehicles operating in this area. No pedestrians are allowed unless authorised by warehouse supervision. We are an upper tier coma site. This is due to the amounts of substances we store which are hazardous to people or the environment. McBride 10 Rules for Life. At McBride, nothing is more important than ensuring that everyone who works here gets home healthy and safe at the end of every working day. Health and safety is not just the responsibility of someone else, it is everyone's responsibility and hence your responsibility. Safety is in your hands. McBride have 10 rules for life. These are basic safety rules that are mandatory for all McBride colleagues, contractors and visitors. Rule 10 is the golden rule. I must stop work if I see conditions or behaviours that are unsafe to myself or others. The rules for life are in place to protect ours and your well-being and are the rules which we should live by each and every day as we perform our work. Rules for life are displayed in your work and rest areas throughout the site. Please take time to read these rules and ask your site contact if you have any questions. Please ensure that you follow the rules for life, because if you choose to break these rules, you decide not to work at McBride. Arrival on site. You must report to the security lodge and sign the visitor's log when you enter or leave the site. Security will give you a copy of our site rules to read and then display in your windscreen. Security must speak with your McBride contact before you are allowed to enter site. If you are carrying out work on site, you will be issued with a contractor authorisation to work. You must not start any work until this authorisation is completed and signed by your site contact. The authorisation to work must then be signed by the site contact every day and before work starts. Do not walk across vehicle areas to get to your area of work. Use only signed and designated walkways, which are indicated in green on your site map. The site map is on the reverse of your site rules. If you are parking on site, be aware of other vehicles when driving on site. Switch on your hazard lights before driving anywhere on site. Observe the speed limit of 5 miles per hour in all areas. Only park in designated areas and do not cause an obstruction. General site rules. We operate to food factory standards. If the nature of your work may contaminate or affect the quality or safety of our products, it is your responsibility to report this to your site contact. This is a no smoking site. The shelters at the rear of site are the only place where smoking or the use of e-cigarettes is permitted. There is no eating, drinking or chewing allowed anywhere on site, apart from in designated areas such as the canteen. Dirty overalls are not allowed to be worn in the canteen. No watches or jewellery are allowed in production areas, apart from a plain wedding band or signet ring, one pair of plain sleeper or hoop earrings, which can be a maximum of 1.5 centimetres in diameter. CCTV cameras are in operation, and your vehicle may be searched by security before you leave site. If you are leaving with a collection, you must produce paperwork before you will be allowed off site. Personal protective equipment requirements will be advised by your McBride contact, but safety shoes are mandatory before you enter any production or warehouse area. Observe blue mandatory signage for additional PPE requirements, such as safety glasses, hearing protection, or high visibility clothing. Observe yellow warning signage. This warns you of hazards such as electrical, vehicle, or flammable and explosive. Your site contact will advise you on the required controls that must be in place to work safely in these areas. Fire and emergency. The fire alarm test is at 11 a.m. and 8 p.m. every Monday. If the alarm sounds at any other time, leave the building by the nearest and safest exit. Fire exit routes are clearly signed. Report to Assembly Point 10 in the rear car park or Assembly Point A in the front car park and remain there until you are authorised to leave. You are responsible for reporting all accidents and incidents, no matter how minor, to your McBride contact. A first aider will be called if required. If you're a contractor carrying out work on site, you must have a contractor authorisation to work. You must not start work until your McBride contact has completed Part 3 of the authorisation and you have both signed. This is a formal document which gives you written permission to carry out work in a potentially hazardous environment. It contains information on the work you are authorised to do and precautions you must take, such as safe systems of work and PPE. The contractor authorisation also highlights any additional specialised permits which may be required if you are carrying out hot work, cold work, work at height, confined space, or roof work. Your authorisation and any specialised permit must be reviewed every day by your McBride contact before you start any work. This review is recorded on Part 4 of the Contractor Authorisation to Work. You must work in accordance with your method statements and risk assessments and wear the correct PPE at all times. Inform your McBride contact if you need to carry out any work not previously agreed. Your site contact will provide you with information on known asbestos-containing materials in the building. If you think your work has uncovered or damaged suspicious materials, you must presume the material is asbestos. You must immediately stop work, prevent access by others, minimise the spread of contamination, and inform your site contact from the work area. You must not use any tools and work equipment unless they are approved, pat tested, and 110 volts where possible. You must not work on any site electrical system without authorization from the site electrical department. You must not work in flammable zones whilst production is ongoing. You must not work on the fabric of the building without first asking your McBride contact and consulting the site asbestos register. You must not bring chemical substances onto site without a safety data sheet or COSH assessment and prior approval by your McBride contact. You must not use access equipment such as ladders or cherry pickers unless they conform to current legislative standards, are certificated where applicable, are stored safely and locked to prevent unauthorised use, and they must have been approved by your site contact. Environment. All waste must be removed when your work is complete, unless you have approval from your McBride contact for on-site disposal. Dispose of waste only in appropriate bins which are designated for that type of waste. Do not dispose of any hazardous substances down drains. You must report any environmental incidents, such as spills, to your site contact. Thank you for listening to this information. Please always work to ensure your safety and that of others who may be affected by what you do.